Hi, folks. Welcome to the Moving On podcast. I'm Jay Norman. This is my wife.
Hi, I'm Jess Norman. Babe, you sure you remember how to do this?
Oh, I bet we'll figure it out.
You want to start off by telling them our brand new name?
I'd love to. We want to welcome y'all to the brand new Moving On Again podcast.
And on with the show.
Hi, babe.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay.
Had a busy day?
Yeah, I just had like a really sluggish day. Like I set my alarm for 7:20. Do you know what time I got out of the bed?
What time?
9:50.
I knew I didn't hear from you for a long time.
Gosh darn it. I was just so tired. I mean, I was tired this evening, but I've been renovating the house and not by myself. I don't know why I have to mention that as if if I say like it's not like you say that. Like I was at the farm and then you mention each person that was next to you. I don't know what that is with me, but anyways, but my friends at my new gym have just been like, where are you? So I feel like I need to see them and I want to see them. So now I'm kind of getting like a 8 to 12 hour workout at the house and also throwing in like a very strenuous workout at F45 in also. And I'm not catching up yet.
A little overdone.
I'm so tired.
And you also got something different for your eyes yesterday, which probably didn't help the situation.
Well, I wondered if that entered the equation because I got contacts yesterday. And I think anytime I kind of change anything about my ritual or my life, I think my system is like, oh, Lord, here we go again. Can we just relax?
Why'd you go with
always doing something.
Contacts all of a sudden?
Cam got drunk and said that I look like Jeffrey Dahmer.
I actually told Jack he looked like him in your glasses, and that's where that started. So
well, she wasn't drunk by any means, but I'm just teasing her back. But I told it to Sherry, and Sherry said that's the whole purpose of those glasses is to look like a 70s serial killer. And then she asked me, what kind would I be? And
got the full rundown.
Yeah. So no, I'm really, I didn't even realize how badly I wanted them. I had started thinking about it a month ago, just how they are getting in my way. I think with renovating the house, they are constantly getting in my way and getting popcorn ceiling on them. They're getting sweaty, just, taking on and off the mask. They just seem to be in my way nonstop. So I was like, let me go ahead and try these contacts again, and I'm in heaven.
Good. I hope they work.
Yeah.
I hope you can figure the getting in and getting out.
I really do. I thought I was going to have a trouble getting them in, and this time I've been able to get them in really well, but I can't get them out. So if y'all wear contacts and you have a trick you'd like to share with me, I'd really appreciate it, because last night I got my right one stuck in, and it took me about 30 minutes of nearly tears to get out, and tonight was my left one, so...
Now you get it right.
Yeah.
So we got a busy time now. We've got 2 graduations here and going to Baton Rouge for a third one.
Yeah, our children date seniors. Henley dates a senior. She's downstairs right now, and Lily dates a senior, and so they're graduating a day apart from each other. But my baby, my niece, my sister's kids are just like my kids, and the baby of those kids is Olivia. We call her Liv, and she's graduating from LSU this weekend. So we're heading down to Baton Rouge to be with my family. And I think Kimmer said there was going to be like 74 at the party, and eating just amazing Cajun food and being together. And I'm really looking forward to it, and mostly looking forward. My brother Jacob said he was going to come stay at my mom's all weekend. So mostly just looking forward to my kids being with his kids, which y'all know.
And then we enjoy being with them too. So.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, just being with my siblings. I told y'all before, my siblings are my superpower. My parents now live on water, and so just being able to have my coffee and read my book on the water is really relaxing.
Yeah, I enjoy going down there too.
I'm glad you can go.
Time, yeah.
I know I told Jay, I was like, the kids are missing school Friday and Monday, so you don't have to go with us, but you're going to have to...
It's going to be raining the whole time, so I think we'll be good. Yeah.
Okay, I hope. I love when you go, but I knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
May is tough. I really wish I would have spent April getting ready for it a little better, because I know May hits hard on all of us every single year. This one just seems, like just Cash's teacher is like, hey, we need y'all here Wednesday at this time and Wednesday at this time, and then again on Thursday at this time. And and then you're like, well, that's one of my 5 children. Like, what?
Yeah.
How do y'all want us to split ourselves up?
Well, the list is growing shorter, so
Yeah.
we'll enjoy it while we can, for sure.
I don't know if I've ever been this ready to have them out of school, and I think it's because Lily and Henley are driving. I think last summer I felt a huge pressure to entertain them all summer, and this summer I realized that Lil can take them to do things, because that's kind of what they do anyway. She'll throw them in the car and throw the dogs in, and then they'll go to the lake or to our farm or something, and so I know that that's what they can do this summer.
Yeah.
And I just really think it's going to be kind of the best one yet. And although I am sad about the kids being seniors, I feel like they're ready to be seniors because they're older. It's almost like they should have been seniors this last year.
Right.
And so, they'll turn 18 the moment their senior year starts. Lily will turn 18 the first week of school nearly. And isn't that weird?
That is
18.
weird.
But
I know, and I'm sad about it too. I'm going to be a lot less accepting of it than you are, I think.
yeah, he's Jay loved having little kids.
Yeah.
Loved having little kids, and Jay loves little kids. Jay loves when the guys at the farm, they still have little ones.
Yep.
And luckily Kelby's about to have one. Colby just had one and has another little one.
Yep.
So we're not done by any means having them run around the farm.
Yeah.
But I really just think you're in a situation where I think you're going to be really happy when we're grandparents.
Yeah.
I really do. I think you're going to be a really awesome granddad.
Thank you, babe.
You're welcome.
Already feel that way sometimes.
I don't think that's a weird thing to say.
Oh, I don't
Just
either.
because I've watched, I just don't. I don't think it's like an old thing to say or like a dig or whatever. I've just watched Kimmer and Kevin do it. And Kimmer just was like, it added meaning to her life.
Yeah.
And she just craves being with them. And I think we will really like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be lots of fun.
Yeah.
So that's all conflict of schedules and things we have going on. We've always got something. We need to be somewhere at one spot, and we need to be somewhere else at the same time.
Yeah.
But we were going to talk about conflict a little bit tonight, and something that obviously we've dealt with on a personal level a good bit and discussed it on here. But I mean, you always say that, when you have conflict, something good always comes out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard the other day that it said a space that does not welcome conflict is a space that cannot inhabit growth or cannot promote growth. And I heard that quote kind of around the most perfect time, because I was going to go be with my best friend Cam the next day. And I would think that y'all would be able to deduce from seeing our relationship on social media. But if you can't see it, I will let you in on the fact that we're very different. We're very different. Our thoughts and our beliefs are very different. And she, besides Jay, is probably the first person in history that allows that calmly.
Yeah.
So we can talk about the different things that we believe, and I can, she can say her whole thing and I'll say, I just don't agree with that. And then we're like, what show do you want to watch? We can recover so quickly. And I've never had that with someone. I like to stand in the middle. So I don't think my feelings are necessarily, or not feelings, I don't think my beliefs are necessarily all the way to one side or all the way to the other. I like to think of myself in the middle, because I feel like there is a gigantic need for an entire culture of folks standing in the middle. And I was listening. Y'all know my favorite podcast is Armchair Expert, and Dax and Monica, they're just best friends and soulmates. And she was telling him, what she respected about him the most the other day was that he can see the gray. He stands in the middle and he can see the gray. And I just was like, that's it. That's exactly what I have strived for forever, because I can see the gray. No. I can see exactly why you feel that way, and I can see exactly why they, screaming at you, feel the way they do. I've always been able to see it from all different sides. And in Texas, we're kind of taught, you've got to stand for something, or you'll fall for anything. We are, it is pounded into us to be, conservative and be on the right and, stand up for yourself. And I've just never felt like that. I've just felt like the more we are like that, and I know that's not how you feel either. I know, babe, that I'm expressing something that's not our expression. It's right. Mine. So this is me, you guys. But I don't think that's falling for anything, me not standing for something. I think that my role and my purpose in this life that we're here is to kind of be a liaison. And I think I used to be a little embarrassed that I was playing all sides or, not getting my hands dirty, and that's not how I feel. And I've never really felt comfortable saying exactly how I felt, because I thought I would get made fun of from one side or the other for not feeling, for not fitting into the two groups.
Right.
And I think that's one of the most detrimental things that's happening to our culture, is that you have to fit into two groups, and I don't fit into either one.
So you've always said that in high school that you had friends in every group, and so you feel like that's kind of parlayed over into your whole your life, so to speak.
Maybe. I just remember in high school, I had such good friends in every single group, and I felt like the one person that knew I could go out with the coolest kids on a Friday night, and Saturday morning meet the other theater kids at breakfast, or go out with the band kids Saturday night. I knew all of them from our youth group, from our church. There was all different walks of life at our church. And I've always loved my high school experience, because I did have my 3 best girlfriends, but I didn't fit into one clique or another. I always liked to kind of flutter and visit.
Yeah.
And, talking about it now, that's how I've been. That's how I was at CrossFit. I never was in, if y'all know anything about CrossFit, it's like the 8:30 class or the 5:15 class. Like you get in these little subgroups, and that class is better than every other class. Well, with our lifestyle, it really was just what works that day. And that's how I've been at 45. They're like, where do you go? I'm like, I go to all of them. Yeah. And it is hard to kind of plug into your group, but I've just always kind of flitted through.
Well, I think, with everything going on in society and a lot of it being brought to the forefront, I know for you and I, it's caused a little bit of headbutting on that at times, just difference in beliefs.
Yeah.
And all that. But at the same time, I mean, we can find common ground, and you haven't necessarily changed my beliefs, but you have got me to the point that I can look at something and see another side, or listen to you tell me, your opinion of why I need to look at something and not be upset about it. And not that that's easy to do, but I mean, it can be done. And I mean, I've done it because I was raised, by people, I never heard a lot of negative stuff, but I've been around people that, there's been a lot of negative things said. And I mean, you kind of get that stuff in your head, and there's a lot of things out there now that I disagree with, but at the same time, some of it I can see the other side.
Well, if you're the one person in your group that you kind of know you feel a certain way that they don't, you get really scared to talk or voice your opinions, and their opinions are not better than yours or more right than yours. It's just their opinions,
Yeah.
you know, and I think we get into, you know, going back to living in Texas, there's been several times where I've just been in the wrong room to be able to feel comfortable speaking freely. And because I'm supposed to be saying very different things, I think it is really important for ourselves to be able to grow and to not feel so alienated and isolated. I think feeling alienated and feeling isolated from your groups or from your families or from your colleagues or from your friends is one of the most just horrendous things that can happen to you in your personal mental health and growth. And for you to get into a space where you feel like someone has a freedom of speech but you don't,
Yeah.
just because your friend is louder than you or feels more comfortable being stronger than you in their speech. I just don't want us to get in that situation because, you know, this is all our first attempt at life, and we're all learning it at the same exact pace as everybody else. And there's just not, everyone is using their set of circumstances and their experiences to bring together this idea of how we feel about this or that. And yours is just as important, and yours is needed, you know, because if it does get shut out because, you know, you don't feel comfortable saying it, well, your silence just goes down as a vote, someone else's vote. Right. Somebody else gets it. Somebody else gets the space. And I think it's just really important for society, and I think it's really important for our connection with each other, because I really strongly feel that the connection between all of us is the most important thing here on this world, in this world. And I think it is the number one thing that we're missing, that we are supposed to be trying to find a connection with each other.
Right.
And I think the more connected we are, and the more peaceful that connection is, I think the more we thrive as a culture. And I think there is a huge darkness coming against that ever happening.
Yeah.
And I think it's coming from several different areas.
Yeah. I'll just say that I think this conversation is born out of what you and I have disagreed on, but come back to common ground and knowing that whatever said, I mean, we're still here for each other. And I just feel
respect each other.
You know, and that's what, you just feel like society, it's lacking in a lot of spaces. Yeah. I mean, it's all the way, as far away from one side as it is the other, and it just seems like conflict. And for us, I mean, the age difference in us and the differences you were raised, I mean, it's, there's been conflict there for us. And I think that's what, I guess I'm saying that's what this conversation's born out of, and trying to say, what we've done to kind of get past that, either apply it to, a couple's life or to everybody's, because we're, it's something you and I, it's a road we travel down a lot.
I think you and I have so much love. I think you and I demonstrate it pretty perfectly. And I do think that Cam and I do. I think there is so much love and so much respect and so much adoration. And, I've told y'all about my brother one time saying, I'll do anything. I have an I'll do anything relationship with Jay and with Cam. And I don't know if I've really ever had that outside of marriage before. And it's been really neat for me. And, I want to say that this conversation more was born out of what happened this weekend. And, we had been at the house. We're renovating a house, and I'd asked the kids to help. So we had every single kid, and Lily had her boyfriend in town, and they helped for a long time, probably 5, 6, 7 hours. And their whole point was they had wanted to go to the trampoline park. Well, they asked if they'd done enough, and I said, yeah. And so I was on a ladder, and my friends from F45, my gym buddies, texted and said, don't go to Allen, don't go to the outlets. We can get to the Allen outlets in about 28, 29 minutes from where we live, and where y'all know this shooting occurred. And I called Lil. She had told me they were going to a trampoline park, but she hadn't told me what town. Oh. So I called Lil, who has my entire life except for Henley in her car. Henley's with us. Yep. So I called Lil and I said, hey, what town are y'all in? Like, I didn't know which trampoline park they were in. And she said, what's the one under McKinney, right under McKinney? She said, Allen. And my heart I was just like, when in the world are our kids in Allen, Texas?
By themselves.
Without us.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I'm on a ladder in Leonard, Texas, and my whole world is in Allen. Yeah. And so I immediately go into gratitude, because right now, to stay the panic attacks or the anxiety away, I'm practicing gratitude. So I just kept saying, thank you, Lord. Thank you that they didn't go to the outlets. Thank you, Lord, that they're okay. Thank you for our babies. Thank you for our day we had together. I go right back to gratitude, and it has been the only thing that can keep me grounded and close to the Lord. And so that's exactly what I jumped into. And so this week has just been heavy, like that lump in the back of your throat. And if I'm not on my guard, I'll slip into something. Yeah. I'll slip into a funk where I don't want to get off the couch. I don't want the kids to go anywhere. I'll just drown myself in fear. Yeah. And so I have to stay on top of it. I have to lean on you, the whole next 24 hours. It was Sunday, I guess. Mm-hmm. The next day, I had one hand on Jay. And he's like, I'm going to go to the farm. And I was like, or you could just stay by me, right? And he's like, yes, or I could just stay right by you. So we stayed right by each other. We went to Cash to his game, and I had my hand on Jay's back for the entire game. And I was like, God, I'm so glad I have you, that you're my grounding post, but that's a long story short to say, we have got to figure something out. We've got to figure something out. And I think that if any of you are like me, you have felt really hopeless this week. Hopeless and mainly helpless. What can we do? What can we do to stop the next one? What can we do to go back in time and stop that one from happening? No. What can we do to make these nightmares never occur ever again? And what can I do to find that next person and help him and stop him from doing what he plans on doing in the future? And what do I do when my kids want to go somewhere public, And so I think just staying in gratitude and staying in prayer, I think God just keeps saying, it starts with you. Yeah. And so I want us to just all recognize the connection that we have with each other and the importance of staying in peace and staying in gratitude and staying in your spirit. Yeah. And how just igniting your spirit ignites all of the spirits around you. And that connection is enhanced, and just how that positivity can grow and grow and grow, and knowing the power that you have within yourself to help this world. Yeah. And not diminishing it, not saying you're just one person, because I mean, you guys, if you're angry, everyone around you is angry.
Yeah, we got to have that one person for it to add up. Everybody adds together, and
it all adds together. I was at F45 this morning, and I was going kind of slow, and so I starting before the timer to get in a few more reps, because I realized I was going slow within the reps. And so this morning, before time, like 3 seconds before time, I just started repping. I think I was doing like good mornings, where you do like a deadlift. Well, these two guys were to my right, and they were doing like hip bridges on boxes. These huge boxes were blocking their view from the timer, so all they could see was me. And so when I started, they started, because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's exactly what I feel like God has laid on my heart, is find your goodness and your peace and your center, and let others start mimicking you.
Yeah.
And start spreading it. That's what you can do. You don't have to feel helpless. You don't have to feel hopeless. And there is absolutely nothing that is going to happen from you sitting and worrying, or you sitting in fear. Yeah. That's what they want. That's what the darkness wants. Don't let them have it.
And my fear too is that it also is in it becoming normal, and people just kind of cast it aside almost. Yeah. Seems like, yeah. Stuff, and that pushes me more to the center to try to find a common ground, right. Just so it doesn't become such an everyday right. thing that we just deal with it and go on, yeah. Because it's such a huge deal.
But I do think we need to realize that the anger and the meanness and the dissension and the narcissism and the arrogance and just all of the negativity that we inject into our society is getting somewhere not good. Yeah. Like, it is reaching a person that is at their tipping point.
Yeah.
And we're saying, like, speaking to the person that is in a really bad place, we can't say like, hey, suck it up. Like, we're all going through something. There has to be more empathy. There has to be more empathy. Like, yes, this is hard, and we've gone through this exactly, and we struggle with this as well. And, telling our stories, like, it's just so important to tell our stories so that people don't feel so isolated and so alone, right. in their depression and in their sadness, or in their hopelessness and right. helplessness.
Yeah, I mean, you would just hope that somebody would reach out to.
But if we're not reaching out,
if we're not available to be reached out to, yeah.
Yeah. Or but if we don't have an attitude of empathy.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're sitting in that room where they're scared to talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard to find that spot, and
yeah.
a lot of people are struggling to get it for sure.
Yeah.
So you made a statement the other day, and I wrote it down.
You did?
Well, you brought it up, was trying to add connection instead of explaining away dissonance.
Yeah.
And explain that to me.
So we all have really good reasons for why we act like a-holes. Like, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the blended family arena, and so we'll talk to friends, and they'll talk about their exes, and they have really good excuses for being jerks. I mean, they do. Like, a jerk brings on another jerk, and then you hear the story, and you're like, how dare they? And you have like these, everyone has a reason to be a jerk. Everyone does, because we're on this crash course of life. Everyone's just walking around trying to be the main character, trying to be the main character of their life, and crashing into each other, and it doesn't go well a lot of times. And the conflict that comes about on a daily basis. And we have all these excuses as to why I don't have to get along with her because she did this, or I don't have to get along with him because he went on this rant on Facebook last year, and I just don't feel that way. And we have all these reasons why we don't have to find connection, and we don't have to like somebody, and we don't have to respect someone. And I think the more people you keep adding to that pile, we don't like them, we don't respect them, we don't believe the same way as them. They are in this culture, and that's not a culture that we appreciate, or believe in, or all of these things that you just keep making this pile bigger and bigger, the further and further we all get apart from each other. And I feel like on a daily basis, we should be trying to chip away at that pile, not add to it.
It seems too that as the pile keeps getting added to, then there's new things.
It's easier.
Yeah, there's things that you've never even heard of before somebody's moving towards, because there's so many in the pile they were in, they're just going on to something else.
Yes. Yeah. The dissension becomes more clear and more clear. Yeah. I have folks in my life that I just absolutely don't G-haul with. But my goal is just to make that number very, very small. I know I'm not going to get out of here alive and with a perfect record, but I want that number to be very small, because I just think it should be a goal of ours to make the amount of people that we've written off. I just think it should be a goal each day to decrease that number, instead of letting it slide and that number increasing each day and each week and month. And I just not realizing that the connection between humanity, how important that connection between all of us is. I think that's something that we really should look further into.
Well, and not to make a plug on what we always have on here and what we always talk about, and it's nearly always tied to our marriage, is dropping the rope. But I mean, this whole thing, that's what it boils down to, is the whole country. Everybody's got a hold of this thing, and just pulling each other every which way, and to the point that you can't even stop to find common ground almost.
Right. But if you give up on it, then we can't have hope. If we can't get it turned around within ourselves, we can't find hope.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of things out there poking and prodding and trying to keep it that way, or seems that way to me anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, and, I know when you've been on Twitter too much, I'm just like, can you put that down? Because it gets him so frustrated, because they are very good at putting videos out there that really cater to those inner tender feelings of us, and they know exactly what to do to make one side very happy and the other side very offended. They know exactly what to say. And I just, we have turned the news off. We turned the news off about, 6 years ago. Yeah. But Twitter still ekes into our home. And I would do anything to get it out, because I think it is it's really harmful. But I know that you enjoy it just like I enjoy TikTok, because you get a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah, the bulk of mine's ag stuff.
Yes. Yeah, so I don't want you to lose that, or the friends that you have on there, but I feel like it gets into our home some way, and I know it's coming through Twitter or Instagram, things like that. Yeah. So, even TikTok's doing it lately. I have to keep putting not interested on things that are very strongly worded, one side or the other. I have to make sure that doesn't become part of my algorithm, because that's not who I am, and that's not who I want to be influenced into becoming.
Yeah. There's always somebody trying to pour gas somewhere it doesn't need to be poured, for sure.
But I just want to talk because I think there's a lot of people that listen that relate that relate to me or that they relate to you. And so I just want you to know that if you feel the same as me and if you see the gray and you like to stand in the center, there's no weakness in that. There is a huge need for people standing in the gap to join one side to the other. And if you don't feel like you go on the right and you don't go on the center and you don't go on the left, guess what? You're just as important as everybody else.
Yeah.
And I don't mean left, Democrat, right, Republican. I'm meaning it proverbially. I mean, if you don't...
As there is a difference.
Yes. If you go if you don't feel like you belong on one side of the spectrum or the other side of the spectrum or the center, you're still just as important in your opinions and your feelings and your thoughts and what makes your heart beat and what makes your heart leap out of your chest is just as important. And your thoughts can still be shared if that's what you want to do, and your opinions matter in your groups. And if you're not comfortable sharing your truth, if you're not comfortable sharing your truth, you might not exactly be in the right set of friends.
Yeah, right. And I always try to look at it too, that, that person belongs to somebody, or that person has a child, or that person has a parent, and just try to make it more real life to put some personal point to it, to where you're not holding it against them.
Yeah, we use that with the kids a lot. Like, what if that was your little sister, or what if that was your mom? Yeah.
It's hard to do it.
It really,
day-to-day. It's a lot of work, just like the work we put in on this marriage. You have to really work on that too, for sure.
Babe, and I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that's a huge tool. That's a huge tool for finding empathy. Is if there is just your last ditch effort is, I cannot relate to this person, I cannot stand this person. Okay, now make that person your sister. I mean, what are you going to do then? Try to find it. I think God has instilled this tool and this ability in all of us, an ability to see each other. We kind of say, I just can't do it. Can't do it. They're too far gone. I cannot. There's nothing I can find that makes me like this person. It's there. You just have to weed out these things to be able to find it. Yeah. And it's not easy, and it's not going to happen overnight, but I feel like we should all kind of turn back to start working on it.
Well, and I think about it too, just like, after 9/11, how you felt and how everybody acted different and held doors, or like, example we've talked about on here before, when we've been at a concert and we end up in this little group and everybody kind of comes together to claim a spot. If you could just think about, what if that person, was in that group, or, how would I feel that day after, we as we come together as Americans, because something happened to America.
I know.
If you can just keep that feeling in mind, that how you would feel on that day towards that person.
Think of the person you hate the most. Think of the person you don't like the most. Now find out that their little child lost their lives this weekend at the Outlet Mall. Now, how do you interact with that person? And I think if we could just get to a point where we could find enough goodness, because it is there, if we can find enough goodness in our heart to just think, what is that one? Everyone's fighting a battle we know nothing about. Be kind always. And I think if we could just always interact with others as if something did happen, something just has happened, something's happening, or something's gonna happen. And I wish we could instill that in our kids. I know that they're still so young to find it, but they're also going to model us and mimic us exactly. And so I think there's an importance on so many different facets of modeling it. I really do. And I just, I know our show, I don't ever want to act like we're good enough to like teach you something, but I just thought what words matter.
No.
And I think any words that would help with the feeling of drowning right now, like what can I do? How can I help? What am I supposed to become a part of the Senate? Or, you know what I mean? You're like, what? I'm not going to go back to school to do that. Or, people are just like at a loss at this point. And I think I just want to pass on that I feel like there's something that we can do immediately. And that's finding a way to connect yourself peacefully and lovingly with as many people around you.
Regardless of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let it go. Let it go. Keep your healthy boundaries, but let it all go and find your peace and find your goodness and find your empathy. Throw your judgment, you know?
That's something that we have to work on each other.
Yeah.
All the time and you're accountable for me and I'm accountable for you. And
if I piss you off in the morning and send you to work, the crew is now getting my ugly attitude.
Yeah. Well, and I just think that's, like you said, not trying to teach anybody, just talking about what we're using to deal with all that conflict and, how you would like to help and what you'd like to see happen, because it's going to boil down to, everybody in small pieces, build the bigger pieces to put it all back together over time. Something else you'd mentioned just on relationships, we've kind of talked about, finding your voice, letting the chips fall where they may, or if you're in a group or if you're not in a group, getting in a right group. But you mentioned you're not going to end a relationship over differences like you and I.
I'm not.
You and I aren't.
Nope.
But you can't control what others do.
Yeah. So you may get to a point where you can have enough grace for others and respect and understanding for others to where no matter what they share with you may get to a point where you have enough grace in your heart that you're not going to end a relationship over those things and you're going to keep those connections intact. And that's awesome. That's where I want all of us to get to, but we have zero control over the other side. We have zero control over whether someone is going to kick us to the curb. I think there is a huge fear that if we do say our truth, share how we truly feel, that our friends are not going to be our friends anymore. And I'm just here to tell you that if your friends are going to let you go over your true self, you just need to have them go ahead and let you go. Because there are folks out there, I promise you, that are going to stick with you no matter what. You don't have to find somebody that thinks about things exactly like you. You just have to find some good folks, and they're there.
Yeah. Well, and it took us a while to figure that out about each other, and obviously took us a long time in our life to find that point.
Well, you said it in the beginning, like a space that can't hold conflict can't be a space that promotes growth.
Yeah.
And I've seen that with our kids as we kind of try to direct our kids into thinking the way that we do.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of give up talking to us,
Right.
and you're just like, okay, give me another chance. Like, let's go again. Because it feels so impossible with them because they're like little aliens. They're so different from us. They talk different from us. They believe different from us. They're drenched in a culture that we've never been drenched in before. There has to be a more freedom of speech for everyone, not for just certain folks that speak a certain way.
And I think on the other side of that, too, is accountability where, something that you've taught me in our relationship, not only between you and I, which that's what started as just the accountability between you and our relationship. And you always say, like, if I'm doing something, you're kind of my bump, I'm going to bump into you and you're going to say, hey, that's going too far. Or in your opinion, it's going too far, but it sets me to thinking about it where there's a lot of people out there that don't have somebody to call them out on that.
Right.
And so I think as a whole, we have to all find accountability for ourselves to,
right.
To be able to get to that middle. And that's something for me that I've struggled with is the accountability to be able to find that, to sit in that gray area and not have that really hard opinion one way or the other.
And I think it's why we're together.
Yeah.
I really do. Because we've said it on here before, but I just don't think there's anyone that could be a bump for you, and there's no one that could be a bump for me that would walk away with all their parts.
Yeah, and so I say that to say a person that doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get to that point of finding accountability to know, hey, I don't agree with that, but the way I'm going about disagreeing it is maybe not correct, or I'm not, I'm going too far one way.
Yeah, I think just pouring into relationship with one another and finding those unicorns.
Yeah.
Took us a long time to find them. I was talking this week, you can either post exactly what you want and find your people, or you can post exactly what you want and endure ridicule. It's all happening all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you're not for everyone. That's what Rob Sharkey's told me my whole time in this space. You're not for everyone. And I'm like, I'm not? And the truth is, you're just no one. You're just not for everyone. And, I'll post kind of these, y'all know that that we love the Lord and we're believers, but I like to stay as authentic as possible. And so I'll post stuff on social media that you probably wouldn't expect me to post. And I'll immediately get 3 or 4 women that are dying laughing. Those are my people. Those are the people that have my exact sense of humor, love God, like to be authentic, thought that joke was funny as hell. And so that's who, if I, even though they probably live in Kansas, if we were sitting here having a glass of wine, we would have the nicest time. And so that's what I mean is, you can either post exactly how you feel, or, your exact joke that you think is so funny, even though you think it's going to be so dumb to so-and-so, that person that's popping in your head right now that you worry about being made fun of by, or... we have several people that I know watch our stuff, and I'm just like, God, they're going to think this is so dumb. But that doesn't matter. That does not matter. What matters is finding your people and finding that connection with those that somehow you found right there on your path, and it's hard to find them. I think that's a really neat way to find them.
Right. Well, and then it just boils down to finding them and putting in the time and the work to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just the pushing away the distraction and nurturing and pursuing those relationships.
Yeah, that's a full-time deal, and a full-time deal to teach kids. And I think, for us, it's just dealing with all that you deal with, blending a family.
Yeah.
Has given us perspective on being able to have
a little more empathy.
Yeah, empathy, and open our eyes to, that there is another way to go about something.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, thankful for it, though. Because I know there's things that, I'll just be driving down the road and I'll get a glimpse of something I said 10 years ago, and I just want to drive off. Like, what in the world? So it's not that I haven't ever been there. I've definitely been that judgmental person that said the most inappropriate things. So I'm really glad I'm not her anymore. I went to this resale shop with Kim in Durango, and this girl was in there looking for an outfit, and she was having a rehearsal dinner for her friend's wedding, and the theme was to come as your alter ego. So the shop owner asked Kim and I, was telling us how funny she thought that was, and she said, what would you go as? And I was laughing. I said, I probably would go... first, I feel like I am my alter ego of when I was growing up. I finally have become who I wanted, who I wished. I finally got brave enough to step into who I wished I could be my whole life, you know. And she was like, I think that's so neat. And I was like, I do too, like hearing myself say it. But I said, however, I also would be a yoga instructor named Stormy with a shaved head. Like, I think I would go as that. There's definitely...
You drive a van with a motorcycle strapped to the back.
Yeah. You already know what I would be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what Sherry. Sherry would be covered in tattoos and have a mohawk with every single color in her hair. And Cam was saying hers was just, she is her alter ego because she's on the farm and covered in dirt and cows. And then we go to NFR and she's sparkly and shiny. So she knows what hers is for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how I got down that path. But I think it was just more of, I've been there. I've been somebody that's judgmental and angry, and I'm glad that I'm not that person anymore. Thankful.
Yep. Well, it takes some time to get there and hard work to do it, but I'm thankful we're at least headed in the right direction.
Me
anyway.
too.
We don't always get it right.
I don't want to be married to somebody that's not you, not you trying every day and not trying to be a good person. I want to be married to a good person.
So the last episode.
Holy goodness. Holy goodness.
We talked about something pretty big, and I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
It's been a while, huh?
Yeah.
It's been a while. Did y'all notice that we didn't record right away? Yeah. We're only are we 2 weeks late?
At least, yeah.
Oh, Lord. Lord, goodness gracious.
Are you going to answer the question?
What did you say? What question did you say?
Well, I'm just, what's your thoughts after saying all that?
My friends know I'm deflecting right now. What is my what?
Well, just what are your thoughts about after you brought it up and talked about it, or what? Any other thoughts, or anything happened, or what do you?
I was almost scared of myself. I was scared of myself. I was just scared that shame storm was going to come, and that it didn't come before I released. So then I was like, oh, goodness, what if I release and then the shame storm comes and then the vulnerability comes and the embarrassment comes and it's already out there? So that was a huge fear, but I just felt really at peace while I was editing it. And I think kind of thankful that we'd done it, because there was a little bit of question if we were going to stay. And I don't know if y'all heard the last episode, but I had finally gotten some answers to my entire life, and last summer was finally diagnosed with bipolar 2, TWO. And so we talked about that at the end of last episode, and it went really well. It was received wonderfully, and everyone has been so kind. If anyone laughed at me or judged me, I for sure didn't find out. They for sure didn't let me know. Thank you guys for not letting me know. We have a really kind community, really kind and loving community that would never. And got some really important messages saying, I've wanted to go do that, and you've made it so much less scary. You've made that. I've been really scared of that diagnosis, and you made that diagnosis so much less scary, and that one was really important to me. Yeah. And then a very close family friend reached out to me, walking through it quietly like I was, and that was very, very important to me. Yeah. Very, very important to me. So I was able to sit and talk with them for a few hours, and now we have each other to lean on where we didn't know. We didn't know that.
Well, and I'll bring that question up, I guess, more to say that where it adds to what we talked about tonight is that's work that you've put in on yourself to make yourself that better person, and work you've put in for us to make our marriage better. And I guess that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's part of what we've talked about tonight, that everybody has to put that work in to get themselves. What it
reminds you of.
Yeah, to get themselves in that right position. And
well, not to be mushy, babe, but right back at you. I mean, you just, we have a child that deals with sounds, and Jay is an ice eater. And I was just telling someone today, Jay could either have a relationship with his stepchild or he could eat his ice. It was up to him. And I watched him maturely pick his stepchild over that habit that he has. And I think, you hear me say that and go, well, of course he did. That's not the truth. No, that is not. We get so stubborn. And so I shouldn't have to do that. This is something I like to do. I should not. They should learn how to deal with it. We put it on to each other. And I was just bragging on you today. And, it started out, we would just be going down the road and I would just take your ice cup from you. Because they would text me like he's eating his ice. And I would just take your cup, and you could have gotten mad, pouted, not talked to me, thought I was picking them over you. And you didn't do any of those things. You just gracefully and maturely knew what needed to happen.
No.
And you've completely pivoted to accommodate what's going on with that kid. And in doing so, have reached a new level of relationship.
No, for sure.
And I think that's a huge example of kind of what we've been talking about tonight, is setting aside what you rightfully should have. You rightfully should be able to eat a damn cup of ice going down the road. You have earned it in your day, working your butt off. You should be able to go down the road and eat a cup of ice. But if it, if it hurts a connection, no matter what, you're willing to give that up. And I don't know, I just think that's a huge example. I'm thankful that that's the kind of person that you are, because I wanted y'all to have a relationship, and I think that honestly was like the first step.
Yeah. Well, I think there's other things that have added to it for sure. That's changed a lot over the last year, but I think, that was one of the last things that I guess on a level I wasn't completely aware.
Understanding.
Yeah.
But your willingness to understand as a 53-year-old farmer.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is gigantic. I recognize how gigantic it is. And I think you knew I knew. I think you knew that I was sitting there going, look, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like, you can have this cup of ice back if you'd like. Like, I totally understand. But these are your options. You can have your stepchild or you can have your ice.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot more fun to have somebody that loves you.
Yeah.
Loves you back over that for sure.
And I think that's the whole idea of the whole show.
Yeah. Boils down to that.
Who knew?
Well, what else you got?
We're probably going to go a little MIA because we are entering into what?
Wheat harvest.
Well,
we've got some graduations.
Yep.
A couple of weekend things coming up, and then we got wheat harvest will be...
The last week of May is a cluster.
Yeah.
And then that end of that week, if it dries out, we'll start harvesting wheat. And then I will be a wheat widow. And I will not have my co-host, so maybe I can grab Cam and we can do a show.
Well, hopefully, it's should be a shorter harvest.
You think? Because we don't have a lot of wheat.
We didn't get as much planted as we normally do, so it should be a little bit shorter.
Okay. So we harvest wheat in June and we harvest corn in August. So we shove our entire summer into July. So I want to tell you guys that we probably will have less shows this summer, but we'll try to make a huge goal of being right back on track as soon as September. Not that we're not going to talk to y'all till September, but we'll probably be pretty graceful to ourselves this summer.
Yep.
Yeah, but we love you so much, and I got so many messages from y'all saying, oh my gosh, like, thank you for saying that we weren't bothering you because we feel like we're bothering you. And I haven't felt bothered by one single person in 5 years. So please, 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 I miss you. Like, keep sending your messages.
She really does.
Yeah, keep sending your messages and keep telling me what's going on. And it just helps me so much for you and I to sit and brainstorm over what's going on in your life. Chances are we've gone through something similar, and we can either listen to a million your words from you, or maybe we have some idea of how to go forward.
I like it.
We love y'all.
Well, what else you got?
I think that's it then.
Well, as the song says, the road goes on forever and the party never ends.
I love you.
I love you too.